There's a certain kind of loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness. You can be surrounded by people, laughing, talking, even being loved, and still feel like you're standing behind a glass wall, watching, observing, calculating, never fully stepping in. You don't trust easily. In fact, you don't trust at all. Not because you're cold, not because you're heartless, but because somewhere along the line, trust became dangerous. So now, every word is analyzed. Every gesture is questioned. Every intention is dissected. You don't just listen to what people say. You listen for what they might mean underneath it. And the exhausting part? You're rarely wrong. That's what makes it worse. Because your ability to read people, to anticipate betrayal, it didn't come from nowhere. It was learned, conditioned, carved into your nervous system through experience. And here lies the paradox that defines your life. The very thing that once protected you is now the reason you feel alone. Your mind became a fortress. Your awareness became your shield. Your caution became your survival. But now, that same protection has turned into a prison. Because trust is the doorway to connection, and you've locked it from the inside. So even when someone genuine appears, even when someone tries to get close, you hesitate, you pull back, you question, you test, you wait for the flaw, because a part of you still believes, if I trust, I will get hurt again. And so you live in this constant tension, wanting connection, but fearing the cost of it. To understand this pattern, you have to go deeper than behavior. This is not just being careful. This is not just having standards. This is a psychological survival system. At its core, this pattern is rooted in something known as avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment develops when emotional closeness becomes associated with pain, inconsistency, or betrayal. As a result, the brain learns a powerful rule. Depend on no one. Feel less. Stay in control. But that's just the surface. Underneath that, there is something even more intense: hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is when your nervous system is constantly scanning for danger, even when no obvious threat exists. It's like living life with an internal alarm system that never switches off. You notice tone shifts, micro-expressions, energy changes in a room. You read between lines that most people don't even see. But here's the cost. Your brain is no longer optimized for peace. It's optimized for protection. And protection doesn't relax. Protection anticipates. Protection assumes. Protection prepares for impact, even when there is none. Then there's another layer: betrayal trauma. This is what happens when the people who were supposed to be safe weren't. When trust wasn't just broken, it was used against you. In those moments, your mind makes a powerful, unconscious decision. Never again. And to ensure never again, it rewires how you relate to people. You become less open, less expressive, less dependent. Not because you don't feel deeply, but because you learn that feeling deeply is risky. Neurologically, this shifts how your brain operates. Your default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for self-reflection and social thinking, becomes overactive in threat detection. Instead of asking, "Can I connect with this person?" your brain asks, "Is this person safe enough to not hurt me?" And that difference changes everything. Because connection requires openness. But your system prioritizes control. The hardest part about this pattern is not what you see, it's what you don't allow yourself to feel. There's a quiet grief that comes with never fully trusting anyone. A grief that doesn't scream, but lingers. A grief of not being fully known, not feeling safe enough to open up, not experiencing love without suspicion. You crave depth, but you fear vulnerability. And so you exist in a painful middle space, close enough to people to not feel completely alone, but distant enough to never feel fully connected. It's exhausting, because every interaction becomes a mental process. Nothing is simple. Nothing is just felt. Everything is filtered, measured, controlled. And over time, you begin to lose touch with your natural ability to just be. Where love should exist, control takes over. Because trusting someone is a form of surrender. It means accepting uncertainty. It means risking pain. And your system has decided that risk is too high. So instead, you sacrifice something else. You sacrifice spontaneity. You sacrifice emotional freedom. You sacrifice the ability to experience love without fear. And the deepest fear driving all of this is not just fear of betrayal. It's the fear of being wrong about someone. Because being wrong means you didn't see it coming. You didn't protect yourself. You failed. And that feels unbearable. So you stay guarded. Always. This doesn't just stay in your thoughts. It shapes your entire life. You might not even realize how deeply it's affecting you, but it shows up everywhere. You might struggle to open up emotionally. Even with people who have proven themselves, there's always a part of you holding back. You might test people without realizing it, creating subtle scenarios to see if they'll disappoint you. You might overanalyze text messages and conversations, reading meaning into silence, tone, and timing. You might prefer independence to a fault, telling yourself you don't need anyone while secretly wishing you could. You might feel uncomfortable when someone gets too close, not because you don't like them, but because closeness feels unfamiliar. You might end relationships prematurely, walking away the moment something feels off. You might keep your struggles to yourself because being vulnerable feels risky. But here's the truth. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies. They were built to protect you, and they worked. But now, they're overprotecting you to the point of isolation. The first step in unlearning this is not fixing it. It's seeing it clearly, without judgment, without labeling yourself as broken. Because you're not broken. You adapted. You survived. But survival is not the same as living. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is this protection still serving me? Or is it holding me back? Healing this pattern is not about suddenly trusting everyone. Healing is about rebuilding your relationship with trust slowly. It starts with something simple but powerful, learning to feel safe within yourself first. Because external trust is built on internal safety. You begin to give yourself what you didn't receive. Emotional reassurance, validation, consistency. You become the safe place you were always searching for. Then you begin to face the parts of yourself that expect betrayal. Not to eliminate them, but to understand them. To ask, what are you trying to protect me from? Because that part of you is not your enemy. It's your protector. It just hasn't realized the danger is no longer the same. And then comes the hardest part. Choosing softness in small moments. Letting someone in just a little. Saying how you feel, even when it's uncomfortable. Allowing connection without immediately questioning it. Not blindly, but consciously. Because trust is not about certainty. It's about willingness. The willingness to experience without constant defense. You don't heal by avoiding what hurt you. You heal by changing your relationship to it. And that's your path. Not becoming naive. Not becoming unguarded. But becoming balanced. Strong but open. Aware but not fearful. Protective but not closed off. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live life behind walls. You were meant to experience it. Fully. And the most important thing to remember is this. You're not hard to love. You're not too much. You're not broken. You are someone who learned very early that trust comes with pain. And now, you're learning something new. That it can also come with peace. And that journey, that quiet, brave decision to open up again, that's not weakness. That's strength in its purest form. If this resonated with you, then you're already becoming aware. And awareness is where everything begins.